gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to one of our weekly Q&A live streams. It's 24 hours removed, or 24 hours until, I should say, Celtic take on Dundee tomorrow night in a midweek fixture in the league. I feel like we've not had many Celtic Park midweek fixtures in recent memory, but we've got one tomorrow night. It's a very important one. It's a must-win one, and we're talking about Motherwell being that turning point in our season, and the maybe the spark that was needed to shove Celtic on to a good run now till the end of the season. We kept saying it time and time again after certain games and certain performances, but this time it truly is now or never. I think that has to be the turning point, and we need to show that tomorrow. Brendan Rodgers has urged his side for a good performance tomorrow night. You're the man in charge. You're the one to give it to. So hopefully tomorrow night, Brendan Rodgers and the side deliver a good performance at Celtic Park, and we try our best to keep the pressure on Rangers, who still sit top of the table as it currently stands. However, good evening, hello, nice to see you. If you haven't already, make sure to hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. We're going to do, the usual 10 or 15 minutes talking about tomorrow's game and talking about who should play, who shouldn't play, etc. We'll look at Brendan Rodgers' comments today. Can't wait for that at the press conference, and then we'll do what we always do. We'll finish off the stream with your questions, your points, and take that into tomorrow. It's a late one tonight, but what else? What has to be said heading into tomorrow's game against Dundee? I mean, this is a game that Celtic should be winning anyway, just like every game at Celtic Park. But now more than ever, there is no excuses, and there's no other result that would do it. It needs to be a convincing win. It has to be a win that puts faith in the Celtic supporters that we've got it in us for this final run in the season to challenge Rangers for the league title. The second half at Motherwell suggested to me it's down there. It's buried in all of those players somewhere. We've just not channeled it enough this season. It was a strong second half. It was a brave second half, and we got exactly what we deserved at the end of the game. But we can't be running it to the 90th minute any longer. We need to be winning games convincingly, especially when you consider the opposition we're coming up against tomorrow night. And I mean that with all due respect. Dundee currently sitting 6th in the Scottish Premiership. They've had a fantastic season considering it's their first being promoted from the Championship. But these are teams Celtic should be making short work of. And the fact we've not been making short work of teams at Celtic Park this season, it isn't a point of entitlement. It isn't a principle of the Celtic superiority complex. It's just fact. The money we spend, the players we have, the team we've developed, and the fact that we are a treble-winning side last season means that we should be steamrolling teams at Celtic Park. And we haven't been performing anywhere near that level. So tomorrow night, we quite frankly need one of those performances. Now, we have got some good news, some bad news in regards to the game tomorrow and the press conference this afternoon. Brendan Rodgers has confirmed that Mike Nawrowski will be out of tomorrow night's game after many thought he should potentially start tomorrow night's game against Dundee. I think in the three centre-halves that we've seen on Sunday afternoon, he was probably the one in the middle, wasn't he? I think Scales probably had the poorest performance. Vickers came off the bench and had a really good performance. I think Nawrowski was probably in that middle slot. I didn't think he had a great game. I don't think he had a bad game either. He didn't necessarily put a foot wrong, and a lot of people saying that, considering recent performances, maybe he should be starting over Liam Scales at this minute in time. It's the reason we spent £4 million on him, I suppose, but it will not be starting tomorrow, as we've suffered yet another injury in this season for them. So Brendan Rodgers has confirmed he's out. I'm trying to just get the comments on screen, but I can't seem to find them now. I'm scrolling. I was going to bring them up on screen, and now they're gone. So that's great. He is out with a knock, and maybe that's why he went off the park injured against Motherwell at the weekend, or why he went off the park. I said this in the match reaction video. I was very confused as to why Nawrowski went off and not Liam Scales, considering I thought Scales was having quite a poor game, but maybe that's the answer to your question there. And Nawrowski's been really unlucky since he came through the door at Celtic with injuries. He got injured basically straight away, kept him out the side for a long time, struggled to get into the side after that. And now that he's maybe had a little bit of faith restored back in him, and after a couple of decent enough performances, he's right back out the door, or the injury door, I should say. He's not done anything wrong to be popped out the door. He's just his body's turned on him, hasn't it? So we haven't got a full extensive breakdown on the Mike Nawrocki situation. So if you're asking, I mean, how long he's going to be out for or anything like that, I don't think Brendan Rodgers gave any sort of confirmation in that front. He's just going to be out for tomorrow's game against Dundee. Hopefully he might return back to the side in time for this hard running of games we've got from the weekend onwards. But we'll just need to wait and see, won't we? It's one of those ones that Brendan Rodgers needs these players from now until the end of the season. We need them fit. We're still waiting on Rio Hatate to return, for example, and we need him fit as well. But we've just had no luck whatsoever when it comes to finding these players' fitness levels and finding them in consistent runs of form because injuries have been in the way. So, yeah, annoying, frustrating, but he will be out tomorrow. Other than that, there wasn't too much else picked up on in today's press conference in relation to players' fitness and injuries. I've seen a lot of people all day talking about Rio Hatate and when he'll be back because we've not heard anything in a while. I think we're probably still 3 weeks away from that. The initial quote on his fitness when he returned from the Asia Cup was that he would be out for 4 to 6 weeks with that injury. That's been, 2 or 3 weeks now, so I think that we're probably roughly 3 weeks away from Hatate returning to full fitness, starting games of football. I mean, he's not going to start as soon as he's back. Better get some tea. He's not going to start before he's back. Start when he's back. He's going to have to be kind of brought into the team, but hopefully he'll be as good as a new signing when he comes in, and we'll just need to wait on that. But Brendan Rodgers is urged for a good performance tomorrow night. He hopes that we get it, building on from Sunday, of course. Now, shall we talk about the big elephant in the room? And we kind of danced over it yesterday a little bit. I did touch on it, but I didn't want to get too much into it before Brendan Rodgers made his own comments in regards to the whole situation with BBC journalist Jane Lewis. He was called out by certain people, certain groups, for his comments towards Jane Lewis after the game on Sunday, after calling her a good girl. And Brendan Rodgers was urged to apologise. He was urged to make comment, make amends for what was seen as a controversial comment, and he's done so in a way that gives a middle finger to the woke mob, as some would say. Let's have a look at Brendan Rodgers' comments, shall we, in regards to it, because I feel like he handled it pretty well, considering the molehill people try to make of it. This is what Brendan Rodgers said, and it was actually published on the Celtic website as well. They've covered it. I was surprised when I seen that they included it in the article. I thought that they would just kind of ignore it and let the mainstream press go through it. But Brendan Rodgers said, "I found it saddening as much as anything because one, I'm not that type of person and I can never be that because that's not how I'm built. But also it saddened me for the society now because people are just looking and trying to find ways to somehow bring you down if they can, and it's not nice. I've spoken to Jane. She wasn't offended. We had a laugh about it. She will continue to ask me awkward questions, I'm sure, but I see her every week and we have a good relation, like I have with most people in my life, whether it's professional or social. Since I've been up here, I think any journalist or reporter or anyone in the media, I've always based my life on relationships. So I've always offered a warmth, a respect, being courteous and offering time to people, and that will never change." So that was in response to, the countless amount of people who were saying that Brendan Rodgers was a sexist, he was being condescending, that he was well out of his depth with the comments that he made, and he was a bad person ultimately. It's nice to see that he's actually spoken to Jane Lewis, and nice to hear her side of things. Now, the one thing that's funny about all of this, though, right, and this is the part where they don't include it in they don't include it in the Celtic article, but he's went full on David Brent afterwards, and I absolutely fucking love it. So he's went on to talk about how he's ended up showing the team a documentary about Jessica Watson. So if you don't know who Jessica Watson is, she was an Australian sailboat sailor who sailed around whatever part of the world it was when she was 16 years old. It was quite a big story, and Brendan Rodgers has managed to wangle in a story about showing the team a documentary about how motivational that is. And it is fucking hilarious to me. I'm sorry, it's just brilliant. I love Brendan. This is exactly why I love Brendan Rodgers, because he is utterly hilarious. He's the best storyteller in the world. I put a tweet on the Celtic podcast account today, or Celtic the Thunder podcast, saying you could take any director, any author, any musician, any single one of them, and they don't even come close to the storytelling ability of Brendan Rodgers. He is truly one of a kind, Truly sensational at what he does. And these stories, whether there's truth in them or not, from back to the Gucci belt days at Reading, to the Danny McGrain story in his first time here, now to the Jessica Watson documentary, Brendan Rodgers knows how to make you laugh. What I must say is, credit, absolute credit to every single journalist in that room this afternoon, because how they could sit there with a straight face through all of that, to me, is absolutely hilarious. If I was in the room, if that was our turn to get the fan media privileges this afternoon, and if we were allowed to go and quiz Brendan Rodgers on anything, and he hit it with that in the room, I don't think I'd be able to hold myself together. He's just box office. He truly is. But I'm glad the air has been cleared in regards to the whole situation. I thought that him being dubbed a sexist and all the rest of it was bonkers in the first place. I can understand that he maybe went around the end of that interview in a way that some people would have found condescending, and I understand that maybe he didn't go about it in the best of fashion. But to go as far to start calling him a sexist and to say that he's this horrible human being is truly outlandish, and I'm glad that he's had a chance to clear the air, and it's glad to see that he's spoken to Jane and that she's found it funny at the same time. So God bless you, Brendan. Now, stop giving us stuff to laugh about and give us stuff to cheer about. That would be fantastic. Where is it? I seen a quote. Where is it? Jessica Watson was there in her ordinary clothes, and she turned round to me and said, "Brendan, if I'm on my sailboat, I'm here, and you're here." I fucked that, put it the wrong way around, but you get the point. Anyway, so yeah, tomorrow, let's go quickly get through the team selection so we can get into Q&A, shall we? Surely there shouldn't be many changes to the team tomorrow night against Dundee. I thought the team that we played against Motherwell at the weekend was actually one of the best 11s that I've seen fielded by Brendan Rodgers in quite a long time. I thought he got some decisions pretty spot on, and one of them mostly was, or two of them were the starts for Mike Nawrowski and Tomoki Iwata. I feel like both of them had to come back into the team. Obviously, Iwata had his problems with injuries, of course, but seeing him in, he made a huge difference. I thought he was one of the best players in the park at the weekend. So, building on from that, I would have Joe Hart in goals, of course, a back four of Johnston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Liam Scales and Greg Taylor. I would suggest the same midfield three start as it did at the weekend with Tomoki Iwata, Callum McGregor and Matt O'Reilly. But the big talking point in the front three is, does Adam Idah come in? Yes, I think so. I would have him in there at the start. And that's not me jumping on any bandwagons just because he scored 2 goals or suggesting anything negative about our lovely wee Kyogo. But he's the man who's scored 4 goals in his last, 5 games? He's scoring goals at the minute and Kyogo isn't. So I would have Adam Idah start. But one thing for certain is Yang. He needs to come in for me. I thought he looked like the best winger in the park at the weekend out of all the ones that played. I still think that he's far from ideal in regards to the quality needed on either of our wings, but he's certainly the only one for me at the minute who looks ambitious and moving forward with the ball, who looks as though he can take on a man, who can make something happen. So for me, Yang has to come in and replace Nicholas Kuhn over the weekend, over the midweek. And I think that, you could have a conversation about Palmer or Maida. If it were up to me, I would probably say Palmer. Maybe there's just a little bit of bias there because he scored that goal at the weekend and Maida missed some big chances. I understand what Maida does bring into our team, but for me, I think I would change the entire front three. I think I'd have 3 full rotations and bringing in Yang, Idah and Maida, Palmer personally. But I think there's a big conversation as to impact. Substitutions, starting players, can they offer the same impact when they're starting games? There's a lot of that goes into it. But yeah, that's the team that I would go with for tomorrow against Dundee in a must-win game for Celtic. And not just a must-win, a must-needed win. Must-needed good performance. I just repeated myself. We need to win, but not just a win. We must win. That's what I just said. We need a good performance. We need a really, really good performance. And then we can move on from there. So, with time for Q&A then, because I'm 15 minutes into the stream, I've actually spoke a lot longer than I wanted to in regards to the game against Dundee itself in isolation. So I think it's time to get you guys involved and get you people in on the conversation. Let me tan my tea. Ready? Let's down it. I'm not going to down it. I don't like downing any liquid, not just alcohol. I don't like downing tea. I don't like downing water. I like to enjoy my liquids. What would be the point in downing a nice cup of tea when I can enjoy it in multiple sips? Right, okay, let's go. Q&A time. Let's start with this. I don't even know if it's a question, but Harry says, Jessica Watson did sail around the world at 16 and was not just a story, she was what? There might be something after that, Harry. But yes, I do realise that Jessica Watson existed, if that was the point that was tried to be made. But yeah. Tea finished, thank God. I keep bringing the tea up on camera. I really shouldn't. If Palma starts, he better get his finger out to spell the glove. Yeah, Palma is... I know his goal at the weekend was huge. It secured the 3 points for us and etc, etc. But he has been disappointing recently. There's no doubt about that. He needs to get his finger out. He needs to start giving us better performances because he was somebody who was bigged up quite a bit at the start of the season. And he started the season well, but he's tailed off big time. And he's not offering a real convincing threat when he moves down that left-hand side. He's been kind of hiding. In my opinion, and we need to get him back in scoring goals and obviously contributing to the point where we're winning games and doing better on the final third. Murray, hello, nice to see you. He says, if those 2 late goals on Sunday don't give this squad the kick up the arse that's very much needed, I don't know what to say. On a positive, the 2 goals show us that the dressing room isn't lost. I've never doubted for a minute that the dressing room is lost. I've seen so many comments over the past few months and on my videos saying that Brendan's lost the dressing room, and I've never bought into that once. I've never believed that once. I don't think Brendan Rodgers is a manager capable of losing a changing room unless something drastic was to happen. I know this is Ange's boys we're still kind of dealing with here, but I never doubted it once. We've been in a slump, and it's been too long of a slump. But yeah, the evidence is there, Murray. I think you're spot on. Those 2 goals are huge, and they've got to use that passion from the end of the game, as I've said already. So yeah. Would you bring in a director of football? I think that the whole structure at the club needs changed head to toe. Everybody involved in the system, the recruitment side of things, the footballing side of things. We need a real refresh. We have a very nepotism type situation that needs eradicated. Yeah, my answer to the question is I probably would, yes. But whether or not they'll do that is a different story. I'm laughing at this question. Not a lot of people will get this, but Josh has asked, the question is, Ryan, what teachers do you remember from your St Andrews days? I'm assuming, Josh, that you go to St Andrews by asking that question. And I remember a lot of teachers. I remember all my teachers. I could rhyme them off right now, first through sixth year. I've got a great memory like that. But, you know, I'm not going to sit and talk about my old teachers on stream. However, Mr. Gardner, if you're watching, shout out to you, big man. Now I've gone full David Brent. How have I gone David Brent? If I can be anything like Brendan, that's fine. As usual, I need to scroll down the chat to keep up with questions. So if you're desperate for me to answer anything and I do miss it, then feel free to just keep posting it in the chat. And we will get round to it at some point. Let's see. I just don't see Yang making the same impact from the start of the game, but surely more of an impact than Kuhn, who isn't built for this. But please prove me wrong, Yang. I think there's definitely an argument in there. I have been very critical of Yang over the course of his Celtic career. I've never thought he was good enough. Still to this day, I don't think just because he had a good game at the weekend doesn't make me think that he's good enough either. There's a lot of convincing for me to see that, but right now, none of our wingers are doing the business. None of them are doing the job they're setting out to do, and out of all of them, Yang is looking the best. And I think that's why so many people are desperate for him to start, because ultimately the rest have been rotten anyway. So I get it. I think there is reservations that could be expected for him starting the game and maybe not having the same impact. But we'll see. He does need given that opportunity, I think, to maybe, you know, about once or twice at least before the end of the season. And we'll get there in the end, won't we? Let's see. What else have we got? You had a haircut, Ryan. No, I've not. I'm getting it tomorrow, actually. I've got a haircut booked for tomorrow. Not had one in a few weeks now. Need to get it cut before I'm back on camera on Sunday. Remember, wrestling fans, ICW, Wait and Bleed live on Triller Plus Sunday night. I'll be there on commentary. Sold out show at the Asylum. My debut at the Asylum, the home of ICW. But if you want to watch it from home, you want to hear my lovely voice and commentary, make sure to watch on Triller Plus. I've got a good cracking card. A couple of very big death matches, which I'm looking forward to. It'll be my first time calling blood pouring from people's heads, which is great. Christ, right, back to the chat. Any chance of we'll try and get Ida in a permanent after his loan? Listen, early days. We've got to see what the rest of the season provides for Adam Ida. If he scores goals, there's certainly a conversation you could have there. But there's still a few games to go. There's still a big conversation to have towards the end of the season in regard to that. And I think that we still need to do our scouting and look for good players. You know, we need to look for good strikers, people that are going to come in and improve this team. And I'm not saying that Adam Ida isn't that. That's not what I'm saying. But, you know, we've got to do our assessments fully. We can't be lazy. We can't be cheap. So, yeah. Do you think Kilmarnock might do it versus Rangers? No, I don't. I think Rangers will probably end up winning about 4-0. Considering the fact that Kilmarnock have been good, there's no point. Look, listen, we have to focus on ourselves. There's no point in thinking about the Rangers games. They'll win every game, in my opinion. That's the way I'm looking at it. We need to be perfect. We need to beat them twice, and we'll deal with those matches when we come to them. If I go for a pre-match pint, where's the best place to go? I was always a CSA man, but I've not been to the CSA in a while. The last few European games, I've ended up going to the Real McCoy. But it's very rare that I actually go out for a pint before a home game, because it's different for me than it is for maybe the Irish that travel over, or people that might get a bus down for somewhere. I live, you know, I'm a 15-minute drive for Parkhead, you know, 10-minute if there's no traffic. So there's never a point for me going for a pint before a game. I only do it in European games, really, or away games. That's pretty much it. But I would say either the CSA or the Real McCoy. They're my two ones. So yeah. Definitely just at the stage where we have to put up with the subpar team and hope for the best. We're now relying on character and sheer will than quality. Not good enough. Yeah, there's definitely elements of that in there. Mr. Gardner was tuning my ear off about Ronnie Charters a few months back. Yep, Ronnie Charters went to your school. I remember Ronnie Charters of STV. He played, he was in Annie when I was in first year, and he was in sixth year, and he was in the school show, and he played Big Daddy Warbucks. There's a story about Ronnie Charters. Hope he doesn't mind me sharing that with the world, but aye. Ian, you know, it's honestly a good question. Who's your commentary favourite? I'm guessing JR. No, I don't know who my favourite would be. I would have to think about that for a long time. But basically, they emailed me asking if I wanted to audition. I said, oh, of course. And auditioned. They liked the audition. They gave me the job. It was as simple as that, really. There's not much else to it. But thank you for your question, Ian. I'd have to think about my favourite commentator. Let's see. God, a lot of questions piling through. Oh, God. Let's see. Would you get in the ring, Ryan? I don't think so. I'm not an athlete. What was your experience of the policing at Fir Park? Terrible. Right, do you know what, actually? Thank you for bringing this up, Adam, because I've not had the chance to speak about this. And I'm not going to be one of these ones that come out and try and victimise myself or anything like that, because I'm not here. But the policing at football games is beyond abhorrent at this stage, and it's terrible. Both before and after the match. Made to feel like an absolute fucking, like I was leaving Berlin. I felt like I'd just done 10 years in the clink. So going into Fir Park at the weekend, you'd think that you were entering a maximum security prison. The policing so over the top, so intimidating in a way. You know, like I felt I didn't have anything on me. I didn't have, like, you know, sometimes you go to the game, you have a wee half bolt in your pocket or something. No, I had nothing. I was just going to the game. And walking in just felt horrible, and they make you feel like fucking criminals. It's disgusting. And then I got through that, I got past that, didn't really think about it for the rest of the game. But we keep hearing stories about how Celtic fans are causing trouble and concerns of safety and such at away games because of the conduct of supporters. I was sitting right towards the left-hand side, the corner flag, basically, beside the Sky Studio, basically. I was sitting at the left-hand side of the stand in the lower section. And when the game finished, they started letting supporters leave at the front of the stand. Piling out in their droves. So everybody naturally thinks, oh well, there's the way out, let's start going down. So hundreds of people piling down these stairs to get out at the left-hand side and go off to the side of the side of the park, basically. The police let through maybe 400, 500 people, and then out of nowhere, clog the stairs. With hundreds backed up, piling basically down on one another and say, nope, turn back and go up the stairs. People screaming their heads off, of course, naturally, and getting very aggravated, as I did as well. I was not, I'm not going to say I was innocent of shouting any things, but no wonder, because you're piling down these stairs trying to get out, and then suddenly they basically cork it. You know, like if you had a bottle, imagine having a bottle of alcohol and like, pouring it and then corking it. You know, that is essentially what they've done. And people are trying to pile down getting out and they make us go back. Beyond me. And this is the same kind of thing that apparently happened at Easter Road, and the Green Brigade were getting blamed for it, for safety issues, for doors getting blocked and doors getting locked. The police are the biggest fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? They're the biggest reason for half of these things that happen. They're the individuals that fucking make these things happen. I've seen it firsthand at Fir Park at the weekend. Shocking policing of the game from the minute I got to the stadium to the minute that I left. And that's just my honest point of view from being there as a supporter. I know some people might be like, oh, the police do a great job. Do they fuck? Not the football. Absolutely terrible. I honestly have never felt so... I'm not one to easily get intimidated by police presence. You know, I just kind of walk past. I've got nothing to worry about. You know what I mean? But you honestly would think you were entering a maximum fucking security prison with the amount that were lined up on your entry to Fir Park at the weekend. It's over the top. And you know what? The night before, Scotland were playing England at the rugby, weren't they? I bet you there was half the fucking presence at the entrances to Murrayfield on Saturday night. I bet you. And it's not just there to, yeah, it happens to every, it happens to Rangers, it happens to Aberdeen, it happens to every it's just football supporters in general. You know, we're made to feel criminalised. And it was fucking shocking at the weekend. Anyway, there we go. Adam sharing his own story saying I got fully stopped searched by 4 police last week at Kelly. On my own, fucking joke, was walking from the shop to the CSA crazy. They're scumbags, man. Honestly. I can't believe some of the treatment they get. I mean, I've seen it firsthand happen to Kieran for the podcast. We were walking to when I used to stay in Dennis and I had the flat, remember, for TSF. We were walking to the game and Kieran got suddenly strip searched. You know, like, they were like, that jacket off, search you. And Kieran was like, what? And they were like, that searched him. And Kieran had a half bottle on him, to be fair, and they tried to take it off him. Kieran took it back and walked off. As he should have, because he shouldn't have to get it taken off. And we were nowhere near the stadium at the point in time. You know, he could have been going to somebody's house with a half bottle of Buckfast, and where's the crime in that? Anyway, enough ranting about the police, I suppose. Yeah, it's nuts. Even there, Mike, who's a Rangers fan, saying, I agree, once you come through that Forest Fir Park and come out, you'd say, yeah, the way out was terrible, because they could have caused a crush. I don't mean to exaggerate. I'm not one of these people who'd over-dramatise everything. But they genuinely could have caused a crush at the end of the game with the way that they suddenly just stopped supporters getting out and sent them up the stairs. It was fucking shocking. They need a complete reassessment of how they police these games, in my opinion. But yeah, that's that. How are you? Have I pre-ordered? Yes, I have pre-ordered it. Yes, and I can't see I can't see Celtic Park from my house. I know I'm no far away, but no for here. No, I'm near Easterhouse. You can't see it here. You can see it for like Carntine, which is only down the road. But no, you can't fucking see it for here now. It's too far away for that. Let's see. What else is getting asked? God, I've missed a lot of questions because I was too busy ranting about the policing at Fir Park. Adam, you got me started. Probably a good way to end the stream, actually, my rant. But let's try and end on a more positive note, shall we? Let's end on a more positive note. Yeah, that I think that's a very... Yep, they do. They step in when they've got fuck all else to do and they're bored. Let's see. What barber do I go to? Chris. Shout out to Chris. Cal, hello. Seen a Honduran Instagram account saying that Mourinho's replacing Rodgers next season to work with Palmer. I very much doubt it. But you never know. Brendan's going nowhere. Let's be real. As much as you might want it to happen, it's not happening. Brendan will be here next season. I'm almost certain of it. I will be at the game tomorrow, yes. Yang Ida Palmer, that's the 3 that I said in my match reaction. Has my opinion changed on Miovski? I don't know. You know what? I don't know. I would rather the club done good scouting and found a quality striker, which could be Miovski, to be fair, if he was the best option. But I don't know. I'll say this at the end of the season. There's no point. The transfer window's still months away. No point in getting into all of that just now. Oh wow! It's my cousin's second ever game at Celtic Park tomorrow from North Carolina. I believe that we will win. Yes, North Carolina. I'd love to go to North Carolina. I believe that's... No, I think Luke Combs is from South Carolina, isn't he? I think he's from South. But I would still love to go to one of the Carolinas. So that's cool. Who's the Turkish keeper? I've not heard anything about any Turkish keepers, I must say. Oh, what a question. I'm ending that. The red alleys. Red alleys over blue alleys. I believe the red one's the new one. Easy. I had an alleys after the game on Sunday. It's the best Indians in the East End of Glasgow, in my humble opinion. So there we go. Right, I'm going to end it off there tonight because we're hitting the half-hour point. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you've enjoyed, you know what to do. Please go ahead and hit like and subscribe. It would be much appreciated as we try and get towards that 50,000 subscribers this year. We'll be back on the channel tomorrow for the post-match reaction. Of course, it'll be a late one. And I've got a surprise recording with someone tonight. You might know who, but you'll see when that video goes live. So, yeah. Right, thanks everybody. See you next time.